Good morning, everyone. I'm Stan Worden, president of Methodist University. I'm here to talk to you today about our policy about wearing masks on campus. I'm going to take mine off so that you can hear me. I don't know if you noticed that I use sanitizer before I took it off. It's always a good idea to use sanitizer before you take your mask off or before you put a mask on, because you don't know if you have any virus on your hands themselves. So our policy is that we wear masks basically in public spaces. Masks are required in all campus buildings. They're also required when you're out and about on campus if you're in the presence of other people. In your residence halls, if you live in a residence hall, you don't need to wear your mask if you're in your room with your roommate or if you're just with the people who live in your area on your floor. But if you have visitors or if you're in a different area of the residence hall, we do ask that you wear masks. So why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it because we know there's a huge amount of evidence from all over the world that wearing masks tremendously cuts down on the rate of COVID-19. If we could get people to universally wear masks, we could get this virus under control very quickly. Well, we can't control what happens all over the country, but I'm hoping that with your help, we can get the virus under control and keep the virus under control on our own campus. This is part of our Moving Forward Together project. Wearing a mask is a way of showing that you care for other people on this campus. It's also a way of protecting yourself a little bit. So let's talk about some different kinds of masks. So this is my favorite mask right now. This is a 3-ply mask. When I talk about ply, I'm talking about layers of fabric. So this is 3 layers of fabric. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's got the Methodist University mascot on it, Monarch. So that's one example of a mask. We also have 20,000 of these white masks on campus. This is another 3-ply mask. These were provided to us by FEMA, the federal agency. And all you have to do is ask for one of these. In fact, your professors will have extras of these if you forget to bring a mask to class. These are available widely on campus. And by the way, I'm going to keep using the word mask. I'm really talking about a facial covering that has at least 3 plies that helps to keep the virus from spreading from you when you're out with other people. So you can wear a bandana as long as you do it in sufficient layers. So a mask or a face covering, I'm going to call them masks because I don't want to keep saying mask or face covering. So here's another example, a bandana that you can wear. I really like this one. I bought it online. This one actually, it has this little pocket here, and inside the pocket is a MERV 11 filter. This is like the filters that are in your furnaces. They really cut down on the spread of microorganisms, and not to mention pollen and dust and those kinds of things. The mask is washable. The filter is not replaceable, but where I went online, I got like 50 of them for just a few bucks. And I wear this one if I'm doing something like flying or if I'm in a large crowd for a long period of time, because this not only prevents more of the virus from coming from me if I'm infected, but it also gives me a certain amount of protection from virus that might be coming from other people. This is a standard surgical mask here. These are disposable. You can't wash these, but they are very effective, and these are what people wear in hospitals in surgery. This is not an N95 mask, but it is a very protective type of mask. And then as a glasses wearer, you can't see this probably, but this one it's another surgical mask, but on the back here it's got this strip of plastic. It's about the thickness of a piece of Scotch tape. And when you put it on your face, if you're a glasses wearer, it kind of keeps the steam from rising up to your glasses and fogging your glasses. So I like this one a lot because my glasses tend to fog when I'm wearing a mask. So one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, this is called a face shield. And you'll see some of your faculty wearing these. This one still has a protective plastic layer on it because I haven't actually worn it yet. And I'm not going to peel that off right now, but it fits on real easily. This is not a substitute for a mask, all right? Here's the problem. See this? If you're infected with the virus, it can still come out underneath that face covering and spread all over the place. So you can't wear that in place of a mask. Faculty will be wearing them along with masks in some cases because it does provide you, the wearer, with a certain amount of protection. If you've got virus sort of coming at you in the air. It keeps it out of the mucous membranes of your eyes and your nose and that sort of thing. It just gives you a little bit of extra protection. But it is not a substitute for wearing a mask. So let me talk a little bit about how to wear a mask and how not to wear a mask. You notice that I'm wearing the mask that goes from the bridge of my nose to underneath my chin. That is the proper way to wear a mask. Now you'll see a lot of people doing this. All right, that doesn't work, and here's why. COVID-19 tends to infect our nasal passages and our sinuses first. Not always, but most of the time. And even if you're asymptomatic and never become symptomatic, you may have COVID in your nose and sinuses. So if you're wearing the mask below your nose, that means all of that is coming right out of your nose. And actually, we shed more virus from our noses than we do from our mouths. So it's important to cover from the bridge of your nose all the way under your chin if you want to protect people from shedding virus if you're infected. I also see a lot of people, and you have too, like this. That doesn't help anybody in any way whatsoever. Now, it's fine if you're eating or something and you just want to keep it handy, but don't go around campus like this. It doesn't help anybody. It's not really much of a fashion statement. If you really want to care for others, wear your mask properly. So, there are a lot of different objections to wearing masks, and I want to talk about a few of those right now. The one that I hear most commonly is, I can't breathe when I'm wearing a mask. So let me talk a little bit about what happens when we breathe, and then I'm going to try to demonstrate to you that I'm actually getting just as much oxygen with a mask as I am without a mask. So when we breathe, we're of course inhaling air that goes down into our lungs, and we have all these tiny microscopic sacs in our lungs that are filled with teeny tiny blood vessels called capillaries. And in those sacs, oxygen that we inhale goes into the capillaries and binds with the hemoglobin in our red blood cells. And then the red blood cells go all over our bodies as our heart beats and pulses the blood out into our bodies. It carries that oxygen in the red blood cells all over our bodies into teeny tiny capillaries all over the body where the oxygen then spreads into our cells and feeds our cells because our cells need oxygen. At the same time, our cells are expelling carbon dioxide, which is kind of the waste material, and our blood picks that up, takes it back to the lungs, and when we exhale, that goes back out into the world. So that's what happens when we breathe. Now there's a device that we can use to measure how much our blood is saturated with oxygen, and it's called a pulse oximeter. And the way it works is that I'm going to have someone just in a moment now demonstrate it on me. Fits right on your fingertip, it's painless, it's simple, it's easy, and it shines a teeny tiny beam of LED light just beneath the surface of your skin into your capillaries. And it can measure how much light is being absorbed by the red blood cells in your capillaries. So if they have oxygen in them, they absorb a different amount of light than if they don't. And depending on how much oxygen, more or less light will be absorbed. So this can tell you exactly what percentage of oxygen is in your bloodstream. So now what I'd like to do is use a pulse oximeter to demonstrate the difference between the amount of oxygen in my blood when I'm not wearing a mask and the amount of oxygen in my blood when I am. And I'm going to ask Nurse Lynetta Allen-Getty, who is the director of the University Health Center, to assist me with this. She has a pulse oximeter with her and she's going to help me. So I'm going to sit here and be the nurse's patient just for a moment. I should be using this again. It's important. Can't overstate the importance of keeping your hands clean during this pandemic. So nurse, if you would join me here and get a reading, first of all, without my mask on, and I'm going to turn my head away from you. Thank you very much. So it's 97. That means my blood is 97% saturated with oxygen. That's important, and I think that's healthy, correct?
That is correct.
All right, the nurse has confirmed that I'm healthy so far. So let's try it again now, wearing my favorite mask. Nurse, would you get another reading, please?
Sure. 97.
All right, thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it. So what we've shown you here is that I have as much oxygen in my blood with the mask as I do without. Now you may be wondering, why didn't we wait longer? Well, our blood moves very rapidly through our bodies, and so it doesn't take long at all, just seconds, for the pulse oximeter reading to change if the oxygen level in the blood changes. So what we've shown you here is that with or without the mask, I'm getting the same amount of oxygen. Now, I'll admit that a mask is hot, makes my glasses fog. Sometimes it makes me feel like I can't breathe as well, but the reality is I'm getting just as much oxygen with it on as I am without. So there are some other observations that I've heard about, why I don't want to wear a mask. One is that it just looks unattractive. Well, in my case, I've joked that it actually covers my face and probably makes me look a little bit better, but a lot of you are more attractive than me. But let me tell you that one of the most attractive things you can see in another human being is that they care for others. So it's not just about physical attraction. You will be attractive when you're wearing a mask because you're showing that you care for other people. Another thing that I've heard is they infringe on my freedom. Well, I want to tell you, first of all, that I respect your freedom. And I care about freedom. I'm an American citizen. I care deeply about freedom. I care particularly about the freedoms that are embedded in the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution. We have all kinds of freedoms, important freedoms, and being free in general is a really important thing. But let's talk about some things that we're free to do, but we don't do them even though we're free to do them. For example, I'm free to never brush my teeth. But of course I brush my teeth, in part because I want to keep my teeth healthy, and in part because I don't want to be offensive to you and smell bad when I'm out in public. Likewise, I'm free not to take a shower. I'm free to do all kinds of things that I don't actually do. And I'm free not to do some things that I actually do as well. So we're not trying to infringe on your freedom by asking you to wear a mask. We're asking you to help care for other people. And I want to point out that we're not asking you to do this for the rest of your life. We're asking you to do this for what I hope will be a short period of time until the nation can get COVID-19 under control, and then we can all go out in public without our masks on. So what we're asking you to do right now is to sacrifice one small freedom, one relatively unimportant freedom, let's face it, as a way of showing that you care for other people, as a way of showing that you're willing to put others before yourself. And I just want to add that that's the spirit that makes this country so great and has created, in fact, our commitment to personal liberties. We have personal freedoms in this country because we respect each other. That's what it's all about. And wearing a mask is a way of respecting others and caring for others. I've also heard that a mask makes me look weak. But I want to tell you that strong people are people who can face their insecurities squarely. Strong people are people who lead by example. And strong people are people who care for others. So if you want to look strong and not weak, wear a mask. So I just want to conclude by saying we will move forward together if we all commit to wearing masks. It's really not a lot to ask. It won't be a sacrifice for a long time, and it will be a small sacrifice for the good of others and for what we hope to accomplish over this short period of time as we work to get this pandemic under control. So let's all show our monarch pride. I know we can do this. Let's move forward together.